Good evening, everyone. It's really good to see you this evening. And just to introduce myself, I'm Barry Bland. I'm a doctor, specialized in anesthetics. That doesn't change, it's always the same. I am going through a number of the organs in the body, and we've just decided we'll have a look at the eye this evening. And it is an amazing organ. And obviously there are so many things that can go wrong, and it's amazing how right it does go most of the time. I just want to say that obviously this will not be exhaustive. There will still be questions that I haven't even touched on. But I think it is important to be able to just have a look at the structure of the eye, because all of the bits and pieces around it, you will find that can go wrong. It helps to have that structure of the eye in front of you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen with a very clear picture of what the eye comprises. And so we can talk about it intelligently like that. So just let me do this. So this is the eye. We are going to be talking about some of the structures, not all of them, but the important ones, I think, as far as our vision is concerned. What is it that we're concerned about when we have a problem with our eyes? You know, we worry about what's going on. So we're going to have a look at the cornea. We're going to have a look at the lens, and we're going to have a look at the macula. Now, the eye comprises a lot more, as you can see. The optic nerve, which obviously comes in here, and light comes in through the cornea, through the lens, all the way to the back of the eye to where the macula is. And then that light is converted into electrical energy, and it goes down the optic nerve to the back of the head where we see things. So the whole of the eye is really, really specialized. And even on the outside of the eye, as you can imagine, we have our eyelids, and they are blinking, making sure that it's wiping fluid across this cornea of the eye to keep it moist and to keep it nourished. So that it is able to continue to live, because there are things that can happen there. So what can happen? On the outside of the eye, I'm sure you've heard of dry eye. Some people have difficulty because their lacrimal glands, their tear ducts, their tear glands are not functioning as well as they should. And then the eye becomes dry, and of course the cornea needs to stay moist. It has no cells in it. It is very clear, and in fact it's very clear all the way through this. You can imagine that if there were any cells or blood supply in amongst all this, we wouldn't be able to see anything. It would just be a red haze. So all of these are crystal clear. So what can go wrong? The cornea obviously can get damaged. You have a stone come into the eye, and it can hit the cornea, and it becomes scarred, and that creates a problem for you to see correctly. It distorts it, your vision isn't so good, all that sort of thing. What's labeled here, the iris, is this structure on either side. And that, of course, is the color that you see in the eye pupil. Well, the pupil is actually what goes through the middle of the iris. And that iris is muscular. And I'm sure you've seen it move. When it's bright light, it's very closed and your pupil is very small. In dark situations, the iris opens up and your pupil becomes larger. So that helps to control the amount of light going into the eye. Then there's the lens here. And that is, to a large extent, why we wear glasses as we age. What happens is, this is a very specialized, again, little a piece of tissue, absolutely clear, and it has muscles all the way around it, all the way around. So what happens when you are looking at something close by, those muscles contract down and cause the lens to get fat so that you're able to focus on things that are close. As the object that you're looking at gets further and further away, it gets skinnier and skinnier, the lens. And so you can concentrate that light onto the macula where you actually perceive it. What can happen to the lens? Well, it can be traumatized. Obviously, it can be dinged by that stone that hit the cornea. It can also go all the way through and damage the cornea. But for most of us, what happens with aging is this whole egg white, if I can put it. You know, the white of an egg when it's raw is clear and you can see right through it. So if you can consider this like that, that's what's happening here. Now, as we age, this material becomes stiffer. And so it's not so easy to make it fat like that, so that you're actually not able to focus on things up close. You can only focus on here, and then it goes there, and then it goes even further out. And as soon as you're reading at a place which is longer than your arms, you start wearing glasses. That's what happens. So that happens here. And of course, the other aspect of it is cataracts, where constantly there is light going through this. And it's like heating up the white of the egg. As it starts to get really hot, it goes opaque, it goes misty. And so the light can't go through it either. And of course, you start losing some vision. This central compartment is has what they call the vitreous gel in it. And that again is incredibly clear. And you are born with that amount, and that stays with you. You don't make any of that. And then of course the macula. And I think that's probably one of the causes of blindness in an aging population, is because of macular degeneration. And we'll talk about that. There's one other thing. Obviously, there's the retina, which is the macula is part of it, but the retina goes all the way around the eye. As you can see it from there to there, all the way around. And that is your peripheral vision, the vision out the side. So that's the structure of the eye. There's just one other thing in this anterior chamber here, between the cornea and the iris. This in here is liquid, and it is constantly being produced, but it then is also drained away. There's a system of draining that away. Now, if the drainage systems don't work correctly, then what happens is you start getting what they call glaucoma, and we'll talk a little bit about that later. So there is the structure of the eye of itself. And it, of course, it's moved by a whole bunch of very fine, very precise muscles. And that is why you don't see double when you move, because those muscles move everything in perfect harmony when you move your eye from one side to the other. So there's the structure. I'm going to unmute, at least stop sharing the page now, and just talk a little bit about those things and what we can do. I think the first thing to say, as far as any eye health is concerned, you need to be properly nourished all the time. I think, you know, we often get upset about things going wrong, and we then start to try and do something about it. The best is to make sure that all of the basic nutrition is in place. Now, if you've heard me speak before, this is going to be monotonous, but it really is the truth and what we need it constantly. And here in the eye, as well as any other tissue that you care to talk about, one is the Formula 4 Plus with the Treonine, all of the vitamins and minerals. You need those constantly for the eye to function correctly and for it to be in good health. And I'll tell you a little bit about that. And the other is protein. Really make sure that if you can, the combinations of the Formula 4 and the protein is in your program as you look to improve your general good health, but definitely your eyes as well. And then, of course, the other major things that I really do believe are important, and we'll talk about them as we go through each one. One is the carotenoids, and the other is the omega, the antioxidants and the anti-inflammatories. Those are the things that it's oxidation and inflammation that constantly cause disease and deterioration of our various organs. And the eye is very definitely at the forefront of that, because we are constantly seeing light, and light is an energy. And as that energy passes through the various structures of the eye, it can cause damage via inflammation and oxidation. So just understand that those four things, the Formula 4, the NutriShake, the carotenoids, and the salmon oil, the omega-3s, are vital for really good vision, ongoing good vision. Now, the first thing I talked about was actually the outside of the eye. So between the eyelid and the eyeball, you have fluid there constantly. Now, it's antibacterial in that it keeps bacteria out of the eye. And of course, as I said, it keeps the cornea wet. And therefore you're able to see properly. You know that if you get, let's say you're putting some eye ointment into your eye, you're putting it into that anterior thing between the eyelid and the eyeball. And sometimes as you blink with the ointment in there, you suddenly can't see because the ointment is covering the cornea. So it's important to make sure that that's right. And one of those things is going to be the carotenoids, because carotenoids are important, one, for your immunity, and two, for the the secretions that are being produced by the lacrimal gland, the gland that provides those fluids that are in the eye, in the anterior chamber of the eye, or the anterior part of the eyeball. So that helps to maintain the good health of the cornea. And that's part of your vision. That's part, as you saw from that picture, it is curved, and so it's acting like a bit of a lens, and it helps to concentrate the light that we are seeing back to the back of the eye to where the macula is. So all of that is important right there. It was interesting, a little while ago, we had a couple of very good product testimonies about people who are suffering with glaucoma. Now, glaucoma is where inside the eye, inside the front part of the eye, there's fluid being produced, and there's a drainage system. Now, whatever happens there, it appears that the drainage system doesn't function correctly, and so the fluid starts to build up in the eye. What that does is it produces pressure within the eye, and that can damage, as you saw the optic nerve leaving the eye right at the back, it can damage the nerve because the pressure gets too much and stops blood supply to the nerve right there. So it is important to have your eyes checked regularly. And what was interesting about the product testimonies, where they were so varied, that different people said, I think this is what is doing the benefit for my eyes. And someone else would say, I think this is what is doing the benefit for my eyes. Now, what I believe, if I looked at a couple of those people, they are taking the basic foundational nutritional supplementation as well as other things. And I believe that there are things that can certainly make a difference. Again, carotenoids and omega will help with the oxidative damage. So they are antioxidants and anti-inflammatories. And that helps that drainage system to remain intact. What's interesting, since we've been looking and seeing with the coenzyme Q10, is that could well have a real benefit as far as that particular system is concerned. And that can help to reduce the pressure in the eye. Now, don't play with glaucoma. Have it tested, observe, see that you are getting the right readings, and then do something about it. It's really not worth playing around, but I have absolutely no doubt in my mind you can make a difference for yourself with good, solid nutrition right there. So make sure that is happening. Multimineral alfalfa is an important part of maintaining that the right sort of electrolytes within that front part of the eye. And it's also a mild diuretic. So it might well be able to help remove some of that fluid from the eye. So just make sure that you are getting the best that you can. The next part of that structure that we were looking at is the cornea. Now, the cornea, really, most of us will have a problem with not the cornea, I beg your pardon, the lens. The lens, most of us will have a problem with the lens as we age. It becomes stiff and won't move as well. So it means that we start needing glasses in order to bring the thing closer to us. Now, again, I believe that if you are consistently using good nutrition, the time that you will start to need glasses is pushed out. But the real aspect, I believe, of good nutrition, particularly the carotenoids and the flavonoids, are going to be is going to help to prevent cataract formation. Now, cataracts can be sorted out very, very simply and efficiently, but it's expensive. And I believe that you can actually maintain a good lens for a long period of time using the antioxidants particularly. So things like the carotenoids, the flavonoids, selenium, chromium, zinc, and one of those that actually incorporates a lot of that is the beta-GARD. The beta-GARD can be very, very beneficial in overall looking at maintaining the good health of the lens particularly. And I seem to remember Marius Pretorius was always very happy with you advising. He was prof of ophthalmology, and he was very happy recommending his patients to be taking the beta-GARD as a means of helping to maintain the good health of the lens of the eye. So that's what we're there. And also one of the other things is of benefit, and that is the vitamin C. Because part of what you're looking at in the lens is the things that hold everything together. And that's what vitamin C can do. That it aids the glue in the body across the board, but definitely just right there. And then we come to the macula, which is at the back of the eye. And that, again, they call it age-related macular degeneration as something that happens as we get older. But mainly because that macula is being hit by light all the time. And it's actually concentrated light because the lenses, the cornea and the lens, concentrate the light onto that little spot. So you can imagine it's like having a magnifying glass in front of the sun and concentrating that light. So what you're getting is oxidation and inflammation in that place, a little bit. It's designed to remove that oxidation and inflammation. That your body is designed to do that. But over a lifetime, that can become problematic. And that is where, again, carotenoids, by improving the blood supply to that part of the eye, as well as the carotenoids, which will help to remove the damaging the oxidative proceeds of the eye hitting the macula, converting into electrical energy, and that is where you get those things that start to happen and can damage the macula. And it's one of the areas where we really do struggle with good vision because of that deterioration of the macula. Your macula is what you use to read with and to recognize faces with. When you start losing full definition of the macula, you actually only can see things on the periphery. It's called loss of central vision. And so you can only see with the retina, and the retina is not very accurate. It's not very detailed. And so it is important to maintain the macula in good health. I mean, what would happen if you discovered that you weren't able to continue reading? You know, or recognizing people easily because your macula is degenerated to that point, really is important. And if you've heard what I'm saying here, there are certain basics, foundational, that affect all of the body. And those same things are important for the eye. So when you look at the health of the eye, what are the issues that you want to protect yourself? You want to protect yourself with good eyesight into old age. You want to prevent any inflammation and damage and infection. All of those things are really covered with basic things of the Formula 4, the NutriShake, the carotenoids, the omegas. They are very, very important. And then you can look at other aspects like, you know, if you're already suffering with something like glaucoma, you can have a look at the multimineral alfalfa. You can have a look at the coenzyme Q10. All of those may be of benefit, and you just got to decide, got to see what is going to make a difference for you. Eyes are important. Make sure you are protecting them for as long as you can. So the basics, with a few others that you can add to it. But now, I know because the eye is so complex, there are going to be all sorts of questions that I haven't even touched on. It's a massive subject. But I think what I'm going to do there is stop right now, and we can look at any of the questions that may have come through on the eye, obviously. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Barry. That is fantastic. Wonderful. I learned a lot, and I'm sure we all did. And yeah, I think, as you say, the more you look after your general health, the more it impacts on all these other areas. Wonderful. Okay, guys, so we now have a question time. Just wave your hand, or if you're not online, just unmute yourself, or unmute yourself and put your video on, and let's see who has any questions. I don't think you got any questions. You were so good, Barry.
Yeah, I wish I was.
Barry,
yeah.
That was absolutely excellent. Absolutely excellent. Well done. Very, very good.
Thanks.
Is there any, Lynette, from everyone, please, can you record the questions and answers? Yes, we will, if there are any. Give us a question. Oh, there we are. Nathan's got a hand up. Nathan, unmute yourself and talk to us. Nathan? I can't help you, Nathan, if you don't unmute yourself.
Good evening. Good evening.
There you are. Okay. Tell us, what is your question, Nathan?
Wonderful presentation. Good evening, all of you. Now, I do read, and we are told that we should have some certain color of screen on our phones, otherwise our eyes will be affected. How does the color of the screen, either on a computer or a phone, affect the eyes?
Okay, thanks, Nathan. Yeah, it's a good question, and yes, it's like if you go in the sun, you can help to protect your eyes by wearing dark glasses. So basically, what that does is it cuts out certain wavelengths of the eye, of the spectrum of light. And what you're trying to do is to get rid of the blues in your light for your computer screen or for your phone. So if you can get an app that you're able to adjust the brightness of the blues in the light, that's what helps you, that's what cuts down on that damage to the macula and to the lens, and in fact to the cornea.
Is it just
Oh,
the
yes.
blue?
Cut down on the blue wavelengths, the white light, So you should get a slightly reddish, yellowish, those sort of end of the spectrum of light, rather than the right at the top, the very bright lights.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. I see another hand up, but I don't know whose it is.
Analia.
Oh, is it? Well, Analia, where are you? Can you talk to us? Unmute yourself and talk to us.
Hi,
Hello.
Hi.
okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
What's your question, Analia?
Okay, well, I missed most of the talk, but I would just like to find out. My husband was diagnosed today with an ulcer in the eye. Tell me, what can you start taking to start getting better?
Okay, Analia, is it a virus?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. That creates a problem with the cornea of the eye, and yeah, it's difficult. It really is, and it's important, and it's right. So obviously, do all of the things that your ophthalmologist is telling you to do for it. But the two things that I would definitely look at is the carotenoids and the omegas. You want to improve your overall immune system, but you also want to make sure that the secretions of the gland of the eye that provides that fluid that is between the eyelid and the eyeball, you want to make sure that that is as healthy as you possibly can, with all the right immune systems in there. And the other thing that I would look at very definitely is vitamin C.
Vitamin C, okay. Vitamin C as well. Okay,
Yeah.
I will start giving him those.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Tell me. Sorry?
Carry on.
I was just wanting to find out, how do I take out my raised hands off again?
Oh, don't worry, I've done it. But like the vitamin C, Barry, would you say anything up to 10 vitamin C a day to fight that infection?
Yeah. Analia,
Yeah,
how recent is it? When did it start?
A couple of days ago.
Yeah. Okay. Hammer it now. With as much as he's prepared to take, I guess. I would take a lot. Yeah.
So,
as well as the carotenoids, but the vitamin C specifically, because as I mentioned, vitamin C is part of what provides the cement between systems, and it's worthwhile really hammering it.
perfect. How does that help? Is that okay? Sorry, we've got a sound problem there. But I think that's all the questions that there are, Barry.
I see Dawn has
Dawn
Dawn Potter has got something in. How can you get rid of yellow spots, bumps near the corner of the eye on the whites. Dawn, have they been there a long time? Okay.
No, sorry.
Hi.
It's just a general question. I think lots of people have that, and I would like
Okay.
to know what to do.
Okay. Almost all of those, they called pterygia or linguicae, just depending on which way they go, because they do tend to grow across the white of the eye. And that's produced by dust and sunlight. So in our environment, that's what it is. So once it's started, it's very difficult to do anything about it nutritionally, but what you want to do is to reduce its further growth. And again, that is going to be your carotenoids and omegas. Just reduce the inflammation with the omegas, reduce the oxidation with the carotenoids. I mean, I can't emphasize how much, those sorts of things help.
Barry, another question, thanks, from Andre. Any suggestions for floaters? Yeah.
Andre, you've had that since birth. I mean, everybody's floaters they've had since birth. Those are the remnants of the blood supply that built up the gel, the vitreous gel within the bulk of the eye. And as you can imagine, if you had blood supply going all the way through that gel, you wouldn't be able to see anything. So before you're born, those blood vessels all, once the gel has been formed, those blood vessels all stop working. But sometimes you're left with those little strings and you see them, you can play with them, you can roll your eyes and you see those floaters roll after them.
We know what you do in your spare time.
But there's not much you can do about those ones. Sorry.
Okay, I think that's everything. Guys, you all happy? You done?
No, can I ask a question?
Yes.
What can be or what can delay cataracts?
Delay?
Cataracts.
Oh, cataract. Yeah, carotenoids, or in all the antioxidants. So if you're going to take one thing, take beta-card, because that has carotenoids, it has selenium, it has the other bioflavonoids. It really is a good little packet, but just know that you can add the carotenoids to that as well.
Okay, so
And
you
in fact, the flavonoids.
you
Because-
obviously have to take more than one in the vitality. You have to take 3 or something.
Yeah, I would take 3 carotenoids at least. And I mean, okay, if you're 12 years old, you just start taking your carotenoids and you will delay the cataract formation when you're 70 or 80 or 90.
Okay.
If you've already started developing a cataract, then definitely.
Yeah, I have apparently, according to my eye specialist,
Okay.
I'm at the start of cataracts.
Okay. Yeah, and if it's not affecting your vision too much at the moment, really go all out, because if you can avoid that procedure, so much the better.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Wonderful.
Good question.
Wonderful. Well, Barry, you did such a good job. Thank you for answering our questions.
Okay.
And thank you. Until we see you next month with your next talk, we thank you.